Angels in the face, Gambians went to the polls and voted for change.
My dream is that in these 5 years, we will have a semblance of Cuba in this country. It's possible. They keep like framing to hammer out an argument. And this argument is a reciprocal argument. It's not an argument that is good for Senegal and then good for Gambia or good for Gambia and then good for Senegal. People say we have Garata and Garata. We have Garata. We have Garata. We have Garata. We only come from there. This is made. Living and behavior, especially in our water, are very fine. Then you know what happened? Look at the labor to sit down. Labor to Kujali. You cannot be compared to Senegal. That's true. They have the capacity. They have the infrastructure. They have the resources in terms of dollars. No.
Right now.
No, right now.
So if people from the NYC are working, they can mobilize them to say, let's go to the prison or Ministry of Fisheries, and then just take the money and then go invest it. Angels in the face, Gambians went to the polls and voted for change.
My dream is that in these 5 years, we will have a semblance of Cuba in this country. It's possible. They keep like framing to hammer out an argument. And this argument is a reciprocal argument. It's not an argument that is good for Senegal and not good for Gambia or good for Gambia and not good for Senegal. People say we have Garata and Garata. We have Garata. We have Garata and Garata. We only come from there. The system is made. Living and behavior, especially in our water, are very fine.
Then you know what happened? Look at the labor to sit down. Labor to Kujali.
You cannot be compared to Senegal. That's true. They have the capacity. They have the infrastructure. They have the resources in terms of dollars.
Also, granted to them.
No.
Right now.
No, right
So
now.
if people from the NYC are working, they can mobilize young people, say, let's go to the prison or Ministry of Fisheries, and then just take the money and then go invest it. Angels in the face, Gambians went to the polls and voted for change.
My dream is that in these 5 years, we will have a semblance of Cuba in this country. It's possible. They keep like framing to hammer out an argument. And this argument is a reciprocal argument. It's not an argument that is good for Senegal and not good for Gambia or good for Gambia and not good for Senegal. People say we have Garata and Garata. We have Garata. We have Garata and Garata. We only come from there. The system is made. Living and behavior, especially in our water, are very fine.
Then you know what happened? Look at the labor to sit down. Labor to Kujali.
You cannot be compared to Senegal. That's true. They have the capacity. They have the infrastructure. They have the resources in terms of dollars.
Also,
No.
granted to them.
No.
Right now.
No, right now.
So if people from the NYC are working, they can mobilize young people, say, let's go to the prison or Ministry of Fisheries, and then just take the money and then go invest it. Angels in the face, Gambians went to the polls.
It's 10 o'clock in Banjul from GRTS. Here is the news. In the headlines, the Minister of Health and Social Welfare and team embark on a nationwide tour to assess health facilities in the Gambia. The Gambia Armed Forces reassures Gambians that the army remains loyal to the new civilian authority. Authorities in Zimbabwe institute new measures to tackle sexual violence in the southern African state. And residents in Ivory Coast Rainforest region embark on an initiative to protect primates living in a nearby forest. These and other stories coming ahead in this half hour. I am Jaina Banyang presenting. The Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Safilu Sise, and a team of technicians from her ministry have begun a countrywide tour. The objective is to assess the state of the country's health infrastructure. GRTS's Yero Jalo is with the team, and he filed in this report.
The Health and Social Welfare Minister's first port of call was at the Essel District Hospital in Essel, where she briefly met with the regional health management team and staff of the hospital. She was later taken on a conducted tour of the various units of the facility. Madam Safilo Sise and entourage visited Kuntaya, Kerewan and Ilyasa health centers, all in the North Bank region. There, she and her team of technicians were taken on a conducted tour of the various units of the facilities by the Regional Health Director, North Bank East, Karamba Keta, who highlighted some of the successes and challenges his team is faced with in the region. The delegation also visited the main referral hospital in the region, Farfenni General Hospital. At the Farfenni General Hospital, the Honorable Minister and delegation were received upon arrival by the Chief Medical Director, Dr. Mamadi Cham, who took them on a conducted tour of the hospital. There, the Health and Social Welfare Minister was also briefed on the challenges as well as the successes of the main referral hospital of the region by the Chief Medical Director of the hospital, Dr. Mamadi Cham.
Over the years, we have registered some successes in terms of reducing mortality. Overall, deaths in the hospital have reduced from 12% annually to a single digit, 8%, and that our referrals to Banjul have reduced by 5% over the years. Patients managed successfully have gone overall 80%, and that we have reduced maternal deaths from double digits, that is over 24 deaths per year, to now 7 deaths per year. These are some of the achievements. Our challenges include human resource, because most of the trained people don't want to stay up country. Equipment, some of our equipments are outdated, need to be changed, and other logistical supplies here and there.
Speaking to GRTS, the Health and Social Welfare Minister said she is impressed with what she has seen so far.
The objectives of the tour are twofold. Since I was appointed as a minister, I didn't have time to go around. Even though I've been around as a permanent secretary, I've been there for some time. But then I took the opportunity to come around, see how well they were doing, and look at the concerns they are having, and see how best we can help them to alleviate those problems. The successes that they've registered are very, very insightful and very, very good. Despite all the challenges they have, they've managed to make very great strides in health service delivery. Despite the fact, we still have a long way to go. We've gone around, you were with me, you've seen all that we've seen, the condition of the hospital. Some of them are dilapidated, which is not what we're hoping for, and we hope that we'll be able to address that in the shortest possible time.
For GRTS News, this is Yero Jalo reporting.
The Medical Research Council, MRC, has launched a 2-year project on tobacco control and treatment, targeting 16,000 patients. The program brought together various experts from the TB Control Unit, where Farmer Akanyi reports.
The project is a pilot research program for TB patients meant to assess their lives before and after treatment. It will also serve as a step in combating the spread of the disease in Africa. The 2-year project will be implemented in 4 African countries, including the Gambia, where up to 400 patients are expected to benefit from the project. Professor Pete Kampman works with the Medical Research Council. She is leading the research study.
This project is trying to understand why some people have long-term problems even after their TB is cured. So, as you know, TB is a disease that affects the lungs primarily, and we know that many patients, although they have cured the disease, they still have some scarring on their lungs, and we want to know what is causing the scarring and which patients might be more predisposed to getting these long-term consequences of TB, so that we can possibly do something for them at an early stage before they have long-term problems.
According to health experts, patients suffering from tuberculosis are more often stigmatized by society compared to other ailments.
TB is just like any other disease. And normally perplex that people with diabetes or hypertension will go around telling people I'm having diabetes or hypertension, when that one will lead to you for a lifelong medication. And TB is curable. So why am I not going to be proud to say I'm having TB? So we aim to at least take away that stigma from people and let them know that what they are doing today will contribute in the lives of many to come.
I'm so delighted that such a research is coming here in the Gambia, which will transform the life of our TB patients and ultimately the community, and kick TB out of our community eventually, and inform policymakers on how to go to care for the TB patients.
The MRC Gambia unit is the leading research center in the country, and this project, officials further stated, is one of the many steps undertaken by the unit to combat the spread of tuberculosis in the country. Reporting for DRFS News, I am Famara Khan.
The Gambia Armed Forces reassures Gambians that the Army regrets the July 22, 1994 military takeover. This is contained in a media release from GAF headquarters, which reads, "We, the armed and security services of the Republic of the Gambia, and the Gambia Armed Forces in particular, are aware of the concerns of many on the potential repercussions on the national security of the recently proposed celebrations of the 22nd July Revolution. However, it is clearly known that the date is a military date and not much linked to any political party at the initial stage. The July 22nd Revolution was exclusively a military revolution, or better still, an unconstitutional military takeover. It was a day when the Gambia National Army, GNA, now Gambia Armed Forces, GAF, took over power from a civilian government and ushered in the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council, AFPRC, government. It could be vividly recalled that when the then AFPRC seized power, it made certain promises, including setting a time limit to return power to civilian authorities. This was due to the consciousness of the elites constituting the council. Unfortunately, a ploy was developed and all genuine and honest personalities were eliminated, and the course of the council hijacked. All subsequent acts that ensued were derailments to the aims and objectives of the AFPRC. Since then, all the subsequent acts in the name of July 22nd were acts by a wolf in sheep's clothing. Therefore, the Gambia Armed Forces wishes to dissociate itself from July 22nd, the birth of which subsequently brought untold terror and mayhem to Gambians. The GAF therefore regrets July 22nd and wishes it had never happened. It recognizes its subservience to civil authority and is comfortable with that, and wishes to assure Gambians that it has learned its lesson and is convinced that the military is not suitable in politics and governance. GAF wishes to further reassure Gambians that it's an institution subservient to the current democratic government and will take all determined measures and conscious efforts to dissociate itself from the event and any other celebration connected to July 22nd. By this message, the Gambia Armed Forces wishes to state in clear terms its recognition of and complete submission to the current democratic government, and by extension advises against any form of celebration of the July 22nd unconstitutional military takeover. The GAF shall never think in that line again. We once again apologize for the happening of July 22nd. The Gambia Democratic and Development Fund, a local organization, on Friday briefed journalists about their activities. The event held at Manjai Kunda attracted participants from both the print and electronic media. Ibrahim Sani was there, and this is his report.
Speaking at the conference in Manjai Kunda, the Chief Executive Officer of the GDDF Lamin Keita said his organization was aspiring to be a full-fledged NGO to complement government's efforts in building the new Gambia.
We just launched a new foundation aspiring to be an NGO. So the name of the NGO, as we all know, that is Gambia Democratic and Development Fund.
He said the initiative came about as a result of reunification and reconciliation efforts in Fonyi, adding that their activities will be extended to the entire country, for his organization was non-political and advocates for more opportunities for youth and women.
I revisit many areas within our institutions, and I came to realize that it seems there is a marked decline in terms of empowering our democratic institutions in the country. And I think and I believe with the support of the youth, we could do more as we did in Fonyi, and this could transcend throughout the country. So that was the time, and I took a couple of very efficient individual, energetic, and very powerful and motivating youths who are ready to embrace the idea.
The Secretary General of the Gambia Democratic and Development Fund, Cherno Silla, and Public Relations Officer Isra Balde both called for unity and tolerance in building a better Gambia.
Promoting democratization and developing its institutions by integrating and curbing the youth and unemployment, developing educational needs, community services, peace building, and unity.
Ibrahim Ensane, GRTS News.
Meanwhile, the Gambia Democratic Congress leader, Mama Kande, on Thursday commissioned a footpath for the people of Nema Wasulumkunda. Wominjai covered the event, which saw a massive turnout of the community as well as GDC party supporters.
Welcome amid jubilant scene. The Gambia Democratic Congress frontman Mama Kande, accompanied by his party loyalists, has commissioned a footpath for the people of Nema Wasulumkunda. The construction took 2 months to complete through the support of a youth association and community members. The entire project was sponsored by Mama Kande. This, he said, he did as a way of contributing his quota to development and as a citizen.
These have been a concern to the entire communities of Nema Wasulu. And when they lodged a complaint to me, including the member of parliament that the GDC put here as a candidate, I did not hesitate to contribute my quota to make sure that I have availed them easy access to their day-to-day movements.
Speaker after speaker commended his efforts, saying the place used to be a big challenge for the inhabitants. They went on explaining, saying, at times, due to the condition of the area, they are forced to use boats to cross to the other end. Responding to the speakers, Mama Kande said this.
This is not the first culvert that I can say I have put up. I think this is the third one for now. We have one in between Nungwel and Dembakunda. There are 2, and no vehicle was even there to pass through that place. But we put up a small bridge there. Today, doesn't matter how big the truck is, can pass through. We are here to contribute our quota towards national development, whether we are in government or not. We are Gambians, and we put the Gambia before anything else.
The principal of Palma School was also at the gathering, and he lauded the GDC leaders' efforts, saying the timely intervention will in no small measure ease the movement of school children.
We've started running the school here since last academic year, but it was a big problem to both the parents and guardians of the pupils of the school, simply because of this narrow bridge. Some parents do come here during the rainy season. They even told me that their kids will never come to cross this place because the place was so horrible.
While the residents of Nembawasulu rejoiced over the intervention, singing, clapping and dancing, the GDC frontman was quick to tell them that he has many plans in the pipeline for the citizenry. Uminjai, GRTS.
Face the Nation on GRTS television this weekend looks at what the people of West Coast region expect from the Brikama Area Council. To find out more, join the recording of the program at the Governor's residence tomorrow Saturday at 12 midday. Brikama Area Council members will be there to answer your questions and listen to your concerns. Everyone is cordially invited to attend. The youths of Tangi, in collaboration with the women of Langsar Ward, joined by members of the United Tangi Association, recently embarked on a major road rehabilitation exercise linking the main highway to the sea. The area is difficult to access, especially during the rainy season. Seydou Camara tells us more.
This move is initiated by the youth and women to ensure an easy ride of vehicles plying the road. Youth leader Kaken Bayi said the poor condition of the road is causing many challenges for the community. He called on NGOs and private sector to come to their rescue.
It is our responsibility as youth to take the lead because we are the future leaders of this country. So we play our part, and then the government can also play their part. Then it's like complementing the efforts of the government. So we thank all the youths, especially those from Langsar Ward, because there are people who came up with this initiative.
Fatima Rajai explained the nightmare they go through to access the market on the sea during the rainy season. The coordinator of the project said the bad state of the road is causing difficulties to access health facilities, particularly for pregnant women in labor. The Village Development Committee member, Baba M. Drame, lamented the bad condition of the road, calling on the council and local authorities to look into the issue.
This will be the job of the council. But then, where it is not done, we have to come up together and then we see how best we can do it. But what I'm appealing is, as far as their work is concerned, they need to make sure they fulfill the responsibilities they have been assigned to. Otherwise, it is of no use. So we are telling them that let them please try to fulfill their responsibilities assigned to them.
With this self-help intervention, the volunteers are hoping that the government and NGOs will swiftly respond to their concern. Seydou Camara, GRTS News.
We will take our first break now, and when we return, we will take a look at the sports news. Stay with us.
Gambians went to the polls and voted for change.
My dream is that in these 5 years, we will have a semblance of Buba in this country. It's possible. They took like 4 days to hammer out an argument. And this argument is a reciprocal argument. It's not an argument that is good for Senegal and not good for Gambia, or good for Gambia and not good for Senegal.
When it comes from knowledge, this is knowledge. Moving and behavior of species in the water are very fine. We cannot be compared to Senegal, that's true. They have the capacity, they have the infrastructures in terms of trawlers.
How soon can this grant get to them?
No.
Right now?
No, like no.
So if people from the NYC are working, they can mobilize young people, say, let's go to the fishing or Ministry of Fisheries, and then just take the money and then go invest. On December 1st, Gambians went to the polls and voted.
Welcome back. The 2019 African Cup of Nations will be played between June and July. This came after the Confederation of African Football executive body agreed to changes regarding the hosting of the continent's flagship tournament. The continental body also made other reforms, which include the expansion of the number of teams to the finals. But what does this really mean for countries like the Gambia? For more on that, let's turn to Ibrahim Mane, Technical Director of the Gambia Football Federation.
When you look at our group, we are grouped with Benin, we group with Algeria, we group with Togo. On paper, we are the winners, because you look at Benin have qualified 2004, 2008, they qualified 2010. You understand? And their first the first two appearances, they didn't make any mark, but they successfully managed to do very well in their subsequent qualification. You look at Togo have qualified once in the World Cup, and they are over-reliant on Adebayo has set them back, but they qualified for Cup of Nations 3 times. So, and if you look at Algeria played the time of Madjad, they played in the World Cup. And then the recent new generation from the French League, they played in the World Cup, so they played twice. They played in the Cup of Nations 13 times and won this cup for once. So this is the team that we are grouped with. So we need to do our homework. So we thought, but we need to do our homework.
That was Technical Director of the Gambia Football Federation, Ibrahim Mane. We will take a look at the international news when we return from the second break.
On December 1st, Gambians went to the polls and voted for change.
My dream is that in these 5 years, we will have a semblance of good power in this country. It's possible. They took like 4 days to hammer out an argument. And this argument is a reciprocal argument. It's not an argument that is good for Senegal and not good for Gambia, or good for Gambia and not good for Senegal. Where it comes from knowledge, when fish is smelling, movement and behavior of species in the water are very refined. We cannot be compared to Senegal, that's true. They have the capacity, they have the infrastructure, they have the resources in terms of trawlers.
How soon can these grants get to them?
No.
Right now?
Not right now.
So if people from the NYC are working, they can mobilize young people, say, let's go to the fishing or Ministry of Fisheries, and then just take the money and then go invest it.
Welcome back. Authorities in Zimbabwe have tightened the laws on sexual violence. Offenders who rape minors and the disabled will be jailed for 60 years. Other cases of rape will attract a 40-year jail sentence. Harai Mokutuya takes a closer look.
According to the National Statistics Agency, there were 8,069 rape cases in 2016, almost double the 4,450 reported in 2010. The 2016 figures translate to 22 women being raped every day. The rise in sexual violence has prompted the heavy penalties. They are a victory for lawmakers who've been pushing for the amendments from as far back as 2014.
I didn't know I would live to see a day when there's actually a response, a correct and proper response to a real problem that is acute, that is affecting people, particularly women. I was actually seeking 30 years. I'm very, very encouraged and very excited that the executive is actually sought to go further.
Well, Zimbabwe has previously prescribed mandatory sentences on stock theft with a very positive impact. It's hoped that the prospect of 60 years in jail will have a similar deterrent effect on would-be sex offenders. But a large number of rape cases still go unreported, and there's a low conviction rate for those that do make it to the courts. Then it's done. Charles Warara successfully prosecuted a ruling party member of parliament who was accused of raping his 11-year-old niece in 2007. The case dragged on for 7 years.
an agonizing wait for justice in a system that is still viewed as victim unfriendly.
Well, it's a thing that is happening in private, most likely. And the evidence and the requirements of the burden of proof that is laid on the complainant is not just easy. You must remember that the complainant must be able to demonstrate that they are telling the truth and that in all circumstances they were not influenced by someone. The other aspect, of course, is that the complainants normally would not want to come out and talk about what they've experienced.
The amendment could lead to the escalation of sentences for other gender-based and domestic violence crimes. Vaya Kutuya, CGTN, Harare, Zimbabwe.
Just outside Daloa in Côte d'Ivoire is a forest known as the Sacred Forest. It's home to a troop of monkeys. Locals don't see the primates as pests, rather, they feed and protect the furry animals, treating them as one of their own. We have details in this report.
Each morning, Jean-Claude Naunua serves breakfast. Monkeys come from all over the forest to grab some fruit. Naunua is the current monkey warden, a role he took over from his father.
If the monkeys don't accept you, it doesn't matter what you do. It will only work if the monkeys are happy with you.
The practice has endured for generations. Locals believe the monkeys are reincarnations of their ancestors. When they die, the primates receive burials similar to their human caretakers.
Here is where I buried 2 monkeys, one a year ago and the last one 2 weeks back.
According to local legend, the monkeys asked for protection through a dream.
The monkeys spoke to a villager in 1948 in a dream. They say that if you don't eat our flesh, if no harm is done to us, we will stay with you. From one generation to the next. I am head of the village today. I am 67 years old, and these monkeys were around long before my birth.
Primatologists say the village is an interesting case study for promoting harmony between humans and wildlife.
We hope that the population, mostly the farmers, will understand the role that primates play in maintaining the forest ecosystems and what the forests give to the ecosystem as a whole, such as rainwater, which is crucial for their farming of cocoa and coffee.
For this community, hunting or killing their ancestors is unimaginable. But they're aware of the threat posed by outsiders, and they're hoping to spread awareness of the importance of protecting these primates. Mahemutwa, CGTN.
That's news, but before we take leave of you, let's look again at the main news headlines. The Minister of Health and Social Welfare and a team of technicians from her ministry have begun a countrywide tour. The objective is to assess the state of the country's health infrastructure. Gambia Armed Forces has reassured Gambians that the army remains loyal to the new civilian authority. Authorities in Zimbabwe have tightened the laws on sexual violence. Offenders who rape minors and the disabled will be jailed for 60 years. Other cases of rape will attract a 40-year jail sentence. And residents in Ivory Coast Rainforest region have embarked on an initiative to protect primates living in a nearby rainforest. And that brings us to the end of this 10 p.m. news bulletin. We thank you for the pleasure of your company. Have a great weekend.